Good morning, traders. We're an hour before the open on Wednesday, April 23rd, and today's theme is Fool's Gold. What do you mean by that, Pete? Well, we've got a nice market bounce. The longer-term trend is down. We want to let this bounce play out. As this bounce starts to hit resistance, we're going to be looking for longer-term swing trades. But for right now, we need to let this bounce play out. We don't want to get cute trying to play the bounce and overstaying our welcome. We need to recognize that the longer term trend is down. So we're going to get into that in just a minute, but I've been telling you to sell out of the money naked puts. So let's take a look at some of those positions. We've had HIMS. I sold the April 25, $23 puts. Sold those for 50 cents. Those were 26 cents bid, offered at 28 cents yesterday. They're going to be a lot cheaper today. The stock is opening at $27. Stock would have to drop 15% in the next 3 days for that position to be in danger. That's the type of strategy that we've been able to take and generate really nice returns of 5% or more in just a couple of weeks. HTZ, I gave you that one on Sunday. There I sold the May 9th, $4.50 puts. I got 20 cents for them. They're currently a nickel bid, offered at 15 cents. If this stock happened to drop to that level, I'd be buying the stock where Bill Ackman was buying it. Yes, I'd be happy owning it there. And if those options expire worthless, I'm going to be generating an 8-9% return on the margin that I put up. Really good position. You'll see here I've got AA. I sold the May 9th $20 puts. Company had announced earnings. Stock was finding support, had relative strength, had high option implied volatilities. I sold those puts for 44 cents. They were trading 18 cents bid at 25. Again, another winner. I'm way the heck out of the money. I don't even have to sweat these trades. It's such an easy trade when you've got market turmoil and market chaos. Up 100 points, down 100 points, up 100 points. This is a great strategy for this environment. I hope you've been able to take advantage of these trades. I also gave you another stock to take a look at on Sunday, DJT. What the heck has that been doing? Never had a chance to sell the puts. The stock didn't pull back, but I did trade the stock from the long side. It was a beautiful long. Look at it get through the 50-day moving average and AVWAP-E, and this morning, boom, it's trading higher again. It's just been an incredibly strong stock, and that's exactly what we were looking for. High option implied volatility, relative strength. We get any kind of a market rally, the stock is going to shoot higher. If the market pulls back, we already know that buyers are engaged. They're there. We can see that from the price action. Clarity within chaos. So, what's going to happen today? Let's take a look at the market. Do you remember 2 days ago how the S&P 500 was down Monday morning and the bottom fell out? Let's take a look at that D1 chart. Look at that price action on Monday. It sold off all the way down to 508. Look at it this morning. It's indicated at 540. That's how quickly conditions are changing. So, over the weekend, Trump's going to fire Powell. There aren't any trade deals. This morning, Trump's making nice with Powell. He's not going to fire Powell. And by the way, we might have some trade deals. Maybe Europe, maybe Japan, maybe even China's going to come to the table. This is the kind of back and forth that we can expect right now. So the best thing that we can do is to respect the move that we've seen so far this year. Look at that dramatic decline. This didn't happen by mistake. There are sellers. And we know that after a big decline, we are going to get a bounce. And so I'm expecting over the course of the next week and a half, 2 weeks, we're going to see this bounce continue. We're going to hit resistance at the 550 level, and the market's going to struggle to get through that level, even after trade deals are announced. But I'd kind of like to get those out of the way because they can spark instant overnight buying. So let's get some of those trade deals out of the way. Why aren't those trade deals going to shoot the market up to the all-time high? Because the larger issue is macroeconomic conditions around the globe. They've been deteriorating. China's been a growth engine. No more. Growth engine for 30 years. Where's the growth going to come from? Certainly not China, not Japan, not Europe. That weakness has been flowing over to the U.S., and we've got huge credit problems starting to bubble up everywhere around the world. And the United States also has a lot of debt. And so now we're getting into austerity programs. Government employees are being laid off. The government is going to be cutting its spending. It has to tighten its belt. That's going to have an economic impact. So as soon as these trade deals are all announced and that dust settles, then the focus will once again return to the longer term economic activity levels that are starting to deteriorate. And that's what's going to set up a nice short position. So what do we want to see between now and then? I don't mind seeing this 550 level challenged, but I want to struggle to get there, because that tells me that there are still longer term sellers who are looking to reduce risk. If the market boom, absolutely obliterates 550 and runs right through it like it wasn't even there, that's a sign that the buying pressure is heavier than I had anticipated, and that's going to make me hold off on any short positions, and it's going to make me reassess just how aggressive buyers are. I'm not expecting that. I'm evaluating what happens between now and then. So the next couple of weeks are going to be crucial. FOMC statement in about 2 weeks or so. The Fed has been hawkish. Powell has said higher for longer. Pretty happy with where current policy is. So even though central banks around the world have been easing, we're not there. We're not worried about economic activity. And next week we get our first look at Q1 GDP. We get the unemployment report. Jobs report should be pretty decent. Initial jobless claims have been good the last 4 weeks. So really not seeing any signs of great deterioration in the U.S. yet, but we know that consumers are very cautious. We know that credit card delinquencies are on the rise. So there are some warning signs. There's nothing imminent right now. This was just a huge sell-off, and the tariffs accelerated some of this downward selling pressure. Let's let that settle a little bit. And we also have a potential budget that could get passed in the next week or two. I view that as also a potential market positive, because there are going to be tax cuts. So don't get too cute in here. Don't overplay your hand. Don't overstay your welcome if you're trading the long side. But given the price action that I see this morning, I do have a long that I really like. And it is MSTR. So I'm going to go into one of my searches here, heavy buying. We're going to bring up MSTR. This is the after hours session. You can see the stock is up to 355. And so the premise for this is really all technically based. The stock is going to open much higher today, but you can see that it is choppy. Let's take off the extended hours and let's take a look at the price action. This stock moves around. So you don't have to go gonzo right on the opening bell taking a position. We'll go into the daily chart, take a look at why I like it. Look at the relative strength, green line above 0. You can see how the stock has been able to get through the 100-day moving average yesterday and through this horizontal resistance level this morning. I like it. Full disclosure, I am long MSTR from yesterday, about $10 below the current price. Why did I buy it yesterday? What was so compelling? That is what was compelling to me. Look at that rally on the gap up and look at that volume. the stock was able to hold all of the gains yesterday. It was able to hold that 100-day moving average. This is the kind of breakout that I want to buy. And I know that I have company. That company comes in the form of institutions buying this stock. Yes, it's heavily tied to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is currently moving higher. Gold has been off the charts screaming higher because of the dollar devaluation. And so we're seeing that all of this excessive money printing is going to help cryptocurrencies. And right now, it's in favor. We can see that there are buyers. So I like MSTR. We know that the earnings announcement is going to be on May 1st. So you must be out of this trade before the earnings announcement. How would I play it? I would buy deep in the money options that have at least a couple of weeks. I would span that earnings announcement, so you'd be going out past May 1st, and those options are going to retain their option implied volatility. They're going to retain their time premium because you've got lots of time and you have that surprise component, which is the earnings release. You could also just buy the stock. Would I go out selling out of the money puts on this one? You've only got one expiration, and that would be the expiration a week from. Actually, you can't even do this Friday because you've got this Friday and then we've got the earnings announcement coming. So let's go in and take a look at the strike prices. There's the May 2nd expiration. We know that earnings are going to be on May 1st. That's a no-go. So you've either got to buy this stock or you have to buy in the money, deep in the money options. I wouldn't buy the deep in the money options unless you plan on holding on to this for at least a day or two or three. And the reason for that is that the option bid-ask spreads are very wide. You can't day trade that. They're like $1 wide. So you have to commit for a longer period of time so that you can mitigate that bid-ask spread. Otherwise, you can trade the stock. But I like it. I think it's going to continue to move higher. What about the market? What do I see happening in the market today? We've got a monster gap up. We're through AVWAP-Q. That's bullish. But on a big gap up like this, what would we want to see? The best pattern for us is that we see initial profit taking. They try and drive down some of these early gains, and we see a wimpy little retracement into the gap. That little pullback, what it's going to provide us with is an opportunity to observe the stock. So this morning, all ships rise with the tide. Every single stock is going to be marching higher. Well, which ones are the real deal and which ones are the fake? That little tiny market pullback that we would see on the open during the first 30 minutes, that little attempt to drive prices down, is going to give us an opportunity to watch the stock. Is the stock able to move higher? If yes, it's going to be a great long. If the stock is able to tread water while the market is pulling back, that's a good sign. If the stock easily sheds a lot of its gains with that little tiny market pullback, then it's not the one. You'll also want to be watching for nice breakouts through horizontal resistance, through technical resistance. On what? On heavy volume. Lots of earnings announcements coming up. We've got Google after the close tomorrow, Thursday. The reaction to Tesla yesterday was quite good, even though their numbers were pretty soft. Perhaps mega cap tech stocks are oversold. Perhaps the results will be slightly better than feared. I'm not buying into any long-term positions on the long side. I am day trading, and I will ride this little momentum. I believe that there are some positive news stories coming out in the course of the next week or two. I'm going to be in, I'm going to be out. I'm going to be in, I'm going to be out. You can see how dramatically the news is changing one day to the next. And today, Trump's saying he's not going to fire Powell and that maybe there's a trade deal with China, and tomorrow he could come right out and say, hey, China has been ripping us off for decades. I've changed my mind. I'm going to increase the tariffs. Who knows? Just let's let this tariff news settle. Let's get some earnings under our belt. That's what's going to give larger institutions, some clarity. I think that in the course of the next 2 weeks, this 550 level is going to hold. We're going to find very, very tough sledding to try and get through that level. And when the market starts to roll over, that'll give us additional economic news. We'll be able to evaluate. And up in here, as I start to see this bounce stall out, that's when I'm going to be considering some longer term bearish swing trades. So keep it very short term right now. Favor the long side. Let's hope that we get a little bit of a pullback this morning. Pete, what if the market just simply marches higher today? Well, then I'm going to let it go. I don't want to trade a gap and go. I don't want to chase a market that's moving higher, higher, higher on just hearsay. Okay, very news-driven market right now. So I'm not going to chase. Even if we get a gap and go higher this morning, during the course of the day, there's a good chance that there will be a dip that I can buy. I want to see that dip be brief and shallow, and when it is, I'll know which stocks are leading the charge, and I'll be able to take a position in them. I won't make as much as I would if I were able to get long on the open, but that's okay. I'm looking for high probability setups. What if we see stacked red candles right after the open? Well, that's a sign that this is going to be a gap reversal. I'm not expecting that. But if I start seeing a big retracement and we lose half of the overnight gains very quickly with stacked long red candles in the first 30 to 45 minutes, whoa, that's heavy selling pressure. I'm not going to be out there aggressively buying. So again, the best case scenario for us is a gradual, wimpy, mixed overlapping candles, light volume, tiny little pullback that preserves most of this opening gap higher. So we want this gap to be preserved to a very large degree. And if we get some wimpy little retracement like, this is even better than what I would want to see, but tiny bodied candles, mixed overlapping, no real momentum, then something like this would be fine also. Just dribbling kind of into the gap, but that is a sign that there are buyers. And as soon as the market finds support, boom, you're likely to see a long green candle, and that would be an entry point for your long positions and an entry point for MSTR. That's your pick today. Trade well. We will see you tomorrow. I'll do a very quick update for you. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel and turn on your notifications. I'm going to be doing some short videos. I've already started doing them, so watch for those. I'll have some really helpful technical analysis tips for you. Thank you. Trade well.
Thank you for watching this YouTube video. I'm Pete Stolzers, and I'm going to keep the trade ideas coming along with lots of education, so make sure to subscribe to the channel and please turn on your notifications so that you never miss another trade. If you like the content, please give it a thumbs up. I've loaded 2 other videos that I think you're really going to enjoy. Stay tuned. We'll see you soon.